Good morning, friends. Welcome to Birth Community with your hosts. I am MagicKai, Mrs. Henderson, Sacred Health Doula, Rev Maritday, and me, Yuvelca Magdalena, your wake-up coach, Vids.
Good morning.
Hey, friends.
What's up? What's up? We're back with Birth Community. As always, we bring the fire. It's hot, so the tea is spicy. Today is no different. We have an amazing guest, but before we get into that, let's invite the divine, because when you do, everything is fine. Yuvelca, Juju.
Ew. Top of the morning to you.
So, again, today's for Archangel Chamuel, the angel of love, right? And who doesn't need more love? Everybody needs a lot more love. You know, when something's wrong, we try to fix all the things. And sometimes, most of the time, it's just a lot more love that's needed. You know, and loving doesn't mean tolerating bullshit. Excuse my French, but but you know, it really is opening into this place of compassion. And with COVID, everybody's really pressed. There's a lot of fear. There's a whole lot less loving going on. People are really having to inspect their lives. So with that being said, you know, looking for love everywhere. Does their life have enough love? Where is love needed? How can we bring the love? So I ask that you surround me in your cloak of delicate pink, the vibration of love and joy. I ask you to expand the flame of love in my heart so that I may touch other people's hearts with compassion and love. I ask that you send healing to those people who are grieving and in pain and ask for forgiveness. Help them in difficult relationships and help them find compassion. Enfold them in your wings and pour your love into their hearts. Amen. Aho Ashe. Amen. Aho Ashe. Amen. Aho Ashe. Bring it down a few notches. When we work in love, let's remember to always send a heart wave to one another for clear communication, for transparency, for authenticity, because that's how we're going to move mountains collectively. So with that being said, our guest, I believe I follow you on Instagram, but I just friend requested you on Facebook. So today, in case our watchers don't know who this is Talise Xavier. She's a wife, a mother of 6, okay, an author, and a full-time homemaker. Her personal experience with and around natural maternity have been the main influence on her views about natural birth. She has a book. If you're wanting more information, because as we know, there's not a lot of information written by Black women, especially around home birth, get that book. We'll be providing you the link for that, okay? Her book is called Home is Where the Birth Is, the stories of my six home births and how you can do it too. It's all based on her personal experience, her extensive experience, I would think so, 6 babies, breastfeeding, midwives, doulas, breech babies, twins, and unassisted labor and delivery. What? Hello, Mama. Thank you for gracing our stage. Is she frozen?
She froze it.
She froze.
That's because it was too much. It was too much for the Wi-Fi and the streaming to handle. It was too much. It was too much. You know, it was too much for the streaming to handle. Hi, Talise. It was just too much for the streaming to handle.
It was. As soon as she started talking, it was like, oh, wait. I feel.
You know why? Because collectively, and I'm only speaking for myself now, I'm speaking for other people too, but it's like collectively, when she was like counted 6 home birth, I'm like, yo, how do you do 6 the twin breech baby? How do you keep your house clean? How do you write a book? How do you run a business? Man, I'm almost half a century years old and I got 1 and I'm still like, gotta do a course. Let me try to stay up. Can I keep my kitchen clean? Can I? You gotta tell us that type of magic, those types of spells, and
Well, I remember when I was younger and I didn't have 6 yet. I had maybe 4, but I knew some
maybe
other
4.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, wait. Can we start with the first part though? When you first started, like the first time you was a mom, like how did that be? Like, let's start there before you went from 4 to 6.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, he was like, how do I keep my room clean? And my house clean is just like one day at a time. That's like literally that's what I do, like one day at a time. I wake up and say, what 3 things do I feel I must accomplish today? And then I say, okay,
these most important things.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that reminder, because it doesn't matter if you have 1, if you have 12. It's always one thing at a time. And when you can look around your space and say, oh my gosh, my space is not clean, it's really not you. It's the other people that live with you and the other people that come to visit. Because if they knew all the work that you put into not only creating a human being, carrying and birthing a human being, and then to raise them properly and give them their time and not your house the time, they would understand, that this too shall pass. Right. This too is temporary.
Right.
I'm still waiting to hear. You ain't escaping. When you was like from 4 to 6, okay, so you got your house clean one day at a time. Come on, let's keep going. Because in there somewhere you wrote a book. In there somewhere you did a business. In there somewhere, and you did it all at home. So you can't escape the home. Home is where everything is.
Well, I can say first and foremost, I'm thankful to my husband, because really, if he didn't work so that I could stay at home, none of this would be happening at all. I would be at a job and I would not have time to write a book. Yes, women can do it, but it's extremely difficult trying to work and take care of your home and do stuff. So he is the reason I'm able to work, and he is the reason I'm able to do these interviews. Like right now, he's not working at this moment, so he's keeping the children from coming in the room. So it's really we really work together, and I'm just really thankful for him. And once I told him, I said, the reason I wrote the book was because women kept individually coming to me. When I would be out with my children, I'm like, yeah, I had them all at home. Because first of all, it's a spectacle. I have 6 children and all of us look alike. So it's like, and they're counting when they were in the store. I'm like, yes, it's 6. And then I had them all at home. So then people are like, at home? And I'm like, yeah, I had them at home. And so then they want to ask me questions. And so instead of keep telling individual people, I was like, well, maybe I can write a book and that way I can tell women around the world, because women around the world are using hospitals. And maybe I can be an inspiration and empower women to do the same. That's why my book is written very simply. It's not that long, because I also noticed there's a lot of home birth books that are really thick. Now, I am an avid reader, so they don't necessarily scare me or bother me. I can read them very quickly, but everybody is not a reader like that. And so I wanted it to be easy to read, and even for teenagers. Like, I just had someone who bought my book who said she read it to her son who's like 4, or he's really young. So she was like, so he can know already that this is what you're supposed to do. So yeah, I took like
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that part right there that you said. I was telling my story to individual people at a time. And I was like, let me write my book so I can, give my voice to people globally. It's so important. Thank you. Thank you for not only giving thanks and praise to the source, the Almighty, for the beautiful relationship that you had that put you in union to have these beautiful children. But thank you for giving the brother cred. We always talk about we're looking for a good man, good man, good man. And the thing is, give him the cred. Give him the cred. Because, in this part of my relationship, I can say the same thing too. My husband is the one that feeds me. My husband is the one that allows me to be home and do the things that I do, because before this time, I was juggling and I couldn't. And I tried. I was like, I got these degrees, I'm gonna put it to work. I got all these certifications, let me put it to work. And I was able to do it as a single woman. But when the babies started coming, and then on top of that, people talk about the babies of life, but the spirit babies came in too, because that's another emotional blow that puts you back in the hole. So you're able to do it with your earth babies, but sometimes you need more time because you're not able to do it with your spirit babies, because once that hits you, it's a different healing. And you still got to do, and you still got to write. You still didn't get that book out. You still didn't get that course out. One step at a time, one day at a time. And I thank you for bringing that to attention, because usually people jump into the meat and potatoes of a relationship. And I was like, with their business. And I'm like, well, you ain't escaping. You was like, I got to thank him first.
No, and it's so true, because so many women, my situation is the same. All the good work I've done is because my husband has provided an amazing container for growth. Okay. And he worries about not being able to take care of us and provide. And his brain is always going. Okay. How can I, and there's this thing. Nobody wants to, nobody likes the kept woman, but you know what? He's keeping us so we can do great things.
Exactly.
So it's a matter of perspective, and, I'm being kept so I can fly, and all the good work, over the last 13 years. So I echo Juju's sentiment for saying, look,
and absolutely. And I gotta tell you something too, Mary too, because it's like the definition of worldly kept or spiritually kept, because when you spiritually kept, you're dealing with almighty powers. That the perception could be different for those, but those that are in it know. Like you, me, and Talise, we don't have to say too much when we're like kept. We don't go into what is she talking about? Because if you're thriving and successful, and you're thriving and successful, and I'm thriving, we're not being kept as prisoners.
That's right. No,
we're being kept to thrive.
Because how long? Mom skimming off the grocery money to get their little stuff done, their little pin money, you know what I'm saying? And so, where does that money come from? It doesn't come from the air. So we have to have good spouses that say, okay, look, do your thing. I got you.
Yes, so Talise, do your thing, because you are a sparkly crown on your hubby's head. Because I know that he's doing his thing, and he sees you thriving and growing. He's like, yeah, and that's my wife. And she right there, that's the mother of my seeds.
Crowns.
Yeah, he just told me yesterday, we were in the van, and he was just like, I'm just so proud to have you as my wife. Like, I'm so proud of you. Literally. Right. Yes. Yeah. And in fact, when I told him I was going to write a book, and we both kind of have the personality where if we say we're going to do something, like nothing will stop us from doing that. And so once I really said I'm going to write this book, I literally wrote this book in 2 months because I said, I'm going to write this book. And I know if I let it be a long stretch of time, that I won't get it done. I said, so I'm telling you, I got to do it. And he's like, okay. So whenever he was home, he's like, okay, leave mommy alone. She's writing. And I was just like up every night, like feverishly, like I have to get this out. And he was like, I got you. I support you. And I support him as well in all his endeavors. So it's a give and take. It's not just, he's helping us to, you two as well, to just do our thing. And we're not supportive of our husbands. It's a give and take. And
because it wouldn't work.
Right.
It wouldn't work. It would be like that seesaw, and you be hanging up there high, like, all right, my booty tight, I want to touch the ground, like, hello, can you, and or he would be like, hello, can you push me up? Can you pick me up? It has to work. It has to be a balance.
Right.
And that's when you see successful couples, that's what it is, regardless of the fights, because people think that it's sweet as pie. No, it doesn't mean that sometimes you can't love him enough that you want to put him in a headlock or vice versa. It happens.
Right.
The only thing is that the nature is like a conscious relationship. You're aware of what's going on. You're aware of the feeling. You get to really know your partner. You get to know that he wants to succeed. His success is your success. Your success is his. He wants to do his own success. You want to do your own. And I just can't, like, I want to be in touch just to hear like how your kids come out of all of this exposure. Because we always talk about our children being exposed to the things of the world, with the things that you create in your home, giving birth at home, like, oh my gosh. And I know you got a lot of daughters, so it's like you're building a tribe of that. Were they present like for each other's birth?
The only birth no one was present at was the last one, number 6. So they all happened to be asleep, which was kind of nice because it was it was unassisted. It was just me and my husband. So it's just like a super emotional and connecting experience, just me and him. And it's just quiet, it's just me and him. But yeah, with number 5, everybody was in the room. With the twins, my daughter and my son, they were in the house. And when the second twin came out, my husband was carrying my daughter and he brought her in. And then with my son, my daughter was in and out. And then, of course, with my daughter, it was just her. But yeah, it's funny because I don't necessarily I'm not preaching to my children about home is where the birth is. I just do it and they see the book. Like even the baby, she's 2. And whenever she sees my book, she's like, mommy's book. But the other day they were on my website. I was doing something. I left the website up and I have videos on my website talking about, different topics concerning home is where the birth is. And I could hear them listening to it in the other room. And they came in the room and they was like, yeah, we're going to have our babies at home. We're going to have our babies at home. And I was just like, oh. Like, it's not even a thing to them, anything else. It's like, and then my oldest, she's like at a hospital, like, why would somebody want to do that? Like, you have your children at home.
It makes sense.
But my son knows that too. Like, we don't talk about it, but they're all clear. You have your children at home and you breastfeed. Like, that's just like you eat food. You have children at home. That's what happens.
Basically, and because they can never come back to you and be like, but mommy didn't do it because mommy did it. You know how when they come back as teenagers, it's like, well, mommy didn't do it, but mommy did it, because you already have that. It's like the ambiance, the aura is already in the space. It's almost like, well, what is your favorite color? What we do is that we give birth at home. Now, I'm almost half a century years old, and I am not going to be, I love it. I'm telling you, I love all of this, the aging stuff, the like almost to be done. Yes, she's Black magic woman, Akila. Yes. Now, like I said, I got to say it again. I'm almost half a century years old, and I'm not going to be birthing any more like human babies at home. I'll birth other things, but not that. But how do we do this? Like how do we encourage, in a sense, without dismissing, the emergency necessities of those that need, to be in a facility to have the interventions, because we know there's a place for everything. But 90% of the time, there's really no need, in that case, how do I do this myself if I was like 30 years younger?
If you would, well, first of all, I would say you have to reprogram your mind, because what happened was when most of us around the world, when you were inside your mother's womb, she was watching movies or TV shows that showed hospital births. And her friends were talking about how they had hospital births. And then as a child, all you saw in movies and TVs were hospital births. And these aren't just normal,
That's the norm.
hospital birth. They were screaming and hollering, and it was painful, and it was very traumatic. Then from your childhood, now you're an adult, you're still watching, movies and TV showing crazy hospital births.
There's no orgasmic, intimate, sacred birth being shown on TV.
Right. And now you have friends who are grown up who had hospital births. So everybody's talking about it. So first of all, we have to stop we have to reprogram our mind to say home is where the birth is, and it can be a beautiful, relaxing, orgasmic, happy experience. That's just number one, to even understand that thought. Because when I was pregnant with my first child, I was a teacher, and I remember I was telling my students, like, I'm gonna have a home birth and it's gonna be, wonderful, and it's gonna feel great. And my 7-year-old student was telling me, for a matter of fact, that it was gonna hurt.
You was being told about that, but so
Yes, we were arguing, and she's telling me, she said that it's going to hurt. Like, she's like, no, it's going to hurt. And she's 7. And so, she's not the only one. Most women are, children and women are knowing that that's what is supposed to happen. So after you first realize that, birth doesn't have to be that way, I tell women to educate themselves, because the reason women are automatically saying hospital birth is because they're scared. And so they say, well, I can get an epidural, which will stop the pain, or the doctor can be there. And then
right there, what you said about mindset, that is so important, because the minute you talk to a client and she says, you know what, I'm open to an epidural if it's necessary, she may not necessarily be a good candidate for home birth unless she retrains that mind, because that door is open. She getting that epidural, especially if she's in a place that provides one. Exactly.
That's 100% correct. And so, then, so I tell women, like, to get my book, Home is Where the Birth Is. Right. Read that, because I was someone who's had 6 home births, and which is available on Amazon and my website, Talise Homebirth Queen. And then I tell them to go on YouTube and just explore, type in home births. See all of because women are lucky right now. 10 years ago, when I had my first child, it was maybe 1 or 2, home birth videos. And it certainly wasn't that many Black women. Or
you have 6 under 10 and under?
Yes.
She said, yeah.
But the thing is this, to me, like, I hear you say that, and my advice, I like to go in like gangster and grassroots. It's like, don't look up, home births. Go look up all those YouTube videos where people gave birth on the side of the road, because they try to make it to the hospital and they couldn't make it. Or, they were like, that shows you you could even see the expression of these birthing persons, like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like, I remember seeing one with a girl and you could tell that they were mad young. You could tell that they were youngins, because he was driving. You could tell the boyfriend was driving, and she's like, and she has stretchy pants, and she's like, these stretchy pants gotta come on. These stretchy pants gotta. And then when she put her hand through, it was like, I can feel the hand. I can feel the hand. And then it was like a slither. It said bloop, because of the position that she was already in. It was almost like a squat position anyway, because her seat was put up and she was already squatting. So it was like bloop. And here comes the baby. And you can tell that he was like, because the car is going like this. And he's like, whoa, like, my son is here. Like, whoa. And then they pull over to the side of the road, and she was like, I just gave birth. I had a baby in the car. Like, I did it. Now, if women were to see that a little bit more, it's like, do you trust the spirit realm more than you trust the world of man? Do you trust what holds up all the planets? Or do you trust what's holding up the bricks on the earth that's being held as a planet? You know what I mean? Like, I go there because to me, it's like, look at everything. And then we're going to break it down to how you feel. Because as doulas, we're here to support. And then I say like this, like, you know, like the teenagers, we're here to support whatever birth plan that you want. Right. Although we know you could do it. And then we got to be careful. Talise, I'm sorry to cut you off, but then we got to be careful, because if we believe you could do it, but you don't know your own health and you don't know you have underlying issues, and we over here talking about you could do it.
Or don't disclose, because sometimes there's home birth at any cost. Okay. And then when shit goes left again, sorry,
you get sued. That's it.
You know, and then we're not hearing anything about that protection of the doula. They tell you get insurance, but guess what? Insurance only covers you in the hospital. It don't cover you at home. Okay, so now what? And we're like, stay home as long as possible. We'll meet you at the house. Because we know that at least if they're going to the hospital, okay, let's get them there 6 or 7 centimeters. They can't stop the train at that point.
Right. Yeah, but we're talking to somebody that never even thought about the hospital. That she's like, all right, well, the living room don't feel comfortable. Let me go to the bedroom. Oh, well, I'm having my contractions in the bedroom. Let me go to the kitchen.
This is her. No, she's eating, drinking, exposed, safe in her own microbiome of her home. Okay, biome home. And having that, but that's the norm. You know, that's what bodily sovereignty looks like. I'm not asking anybody's permission. And that's the difference between home birthers, free birthers. They're not asking anybody's permission. They're just doing it. And then now we have their experience to say, look, because now this is a whole different conversation. You know, I'm used to seeing hospital births and crossing over into home birth.
Right.
Okay. And so now I'm trying to bridge the gap, because still most of my clients that are coming to me, they're hospital births. And I'm like, okay, how can we shift this? And some it's a possibility, some it's not. So it's going to be a combination of home laboring with a hospital exodus.
But you know what? Why can't it be like lo tiempo de ante, the times of past, where the doctors used to come to your home? Why can't it be like I'm gonna give birth at home, and you bring all that IV, the little needles with the thread, and you know all those things to my house? You know what I mean? I mean, like, you could set up my house to do the intervention. Yeah, there's so many. Come on, we send people to like the moon. Well, let me stop, because some people think that the world is flat. Let me stop.
Army Corps of Engineers. They can build anything. They can fix anything. They can solve any problem. Army Corps of Engineers. Are you kidding me? And then just seriously, we're going to go straight. Women. They are built a certain way. They work a certain way. They birth a certain way. Birth is normal until it's not. And when you got a lot of extra rah-rah, instead of tuning into that babelet and your family unit, okay, saying, baby, what's up? What's going on? You know, and already treating it like most women are in a pregnancy vacuum, right? And it's like kind of just moving along. And then all of a sudden, like that month and change before birth, now things are starting to get real. And then it's like, you know, how am I going to know I'm in labor, right? And they read books, and the books don't land. And it's because they're getting information from, it's always good to have guidelines, right? But guidelines that, like, seriously, they're digestible. So like you said, I can't do this long, because you know what? Pregnant women don't have bandwidth. You know, they are creating a human. They feel some type of way. I should be doing something. Yeah, you're creating eyeballs and a circulatory system. Slow your roll, mama.
I mean, I want to ask you too, because I just looked over your bio again. You've been to different places, so I'm not gonna assume that you had all your kids in Atlanta. Like, did you have a kid in Zimbabwe? Did you have a kid in Chicago? Like,
I did have all my children in Atlanta. I did. But I did, I was involved in different birthing experiences in different places. But yeah, they all Georgia Peaches and a Mr. Peach.
He's like, I love peaches.
Yes. But yeah, I wanted to speak to the what you were saying besides just doing the education. And with certain people, you have to give them the scary raw version. So some women you can say, hey, just educate yourself, and then they're open, like, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And some women you have to say, hey, women have births and babies all the time. Hospitals are new, women all the time do not make it to hospitals, and they still have babies. Babies gonna come when they want to. Why not be relaxed and comfortable? And then sometimes you have to scare women. So like I did a video the other day, and my friend was having a baby, and I was on the phone the whole time, watching and observing, because it was my friend's lady. And so I noticed that they had put her she was getting, first of all, let me back up. So first of all, she came in, she wasn't that far along. And then of course they started to give her Pitocin. So they create a problem and then say, oh, well, now that we've created this problem, let's give you an epidural for the unnecessary problem that we created. So then after that, they solved that problem with another problem, because there's so many side effects, and for years and lifelong side effects of an epidural. But okay, that doesn't scare you. Let's keep going. So now your baby is coming, and I remember when I was younger, when I would see movies, the stirrups were kind of low. So their legs would be up in stirrups, but it was kind of low. Literally, like her toes were almost pointing up. Her legs were so high up in the air. And I'm just like, and they wouldn't let her sit up at all. They kept making her lay back and telling her to not breathe, but push. Take a deep breath, don't breathe, and push. I said, okay. So then after that, then finally the baby comes out. It's a mess. But anyway, finally the baby comes out, and all night long, they're coming in the room, busting in the room all night. She can't get any sleep, which makes you sleep deprived, which then makes you susceptible to
You're just like, yes, go away.
Yeah, it makes you susceptible to false information.
What's always crazy about that is you cannot take a confession from anybody under duress, but boy, can you do a number on a birthing woman.
Exactly. Wait, so then she had just finished nursing the baby. The baby's asleep. And in my head, I say, well, if a baby's hungry, 10 times out of 10, it'll start crying. But this baby sleep, and the nurse comes in and says, you need to wake up the baby to nurse him. And if you can't, you're not going to be able to nurse him, then we're going to have to start him on formula. So, I mean, it was just, like y'all said, I've never had a hospital birth at all. I've heard stories. I've heard stories, but I never saw with my own two eyes the madness that happens. And I'm just blown away. And women do this over and over again.
I wonder why we got to debrief and call 8 people, and they have to be birth workers after the fact, because you have seen so many things. And so I'm just so grateful, because again, when you can talk about home birth as the norm, and then just 250 million years versus 500.
With men who haven't had any births.
Yeah.
Y'all just gave me a whole bunch of pictures of cavemen with mammoths. What do you know? Just go hunt. let me gather
Pretty much. Let us do our thing. I joke around and I use little metaphors, and seriously, women, men think they're really cute with their 3D printer. Women are the original 3D printer. Okay, the original. You were Talise.
Well, we do think that they're cute because they get us pregnant in the first place. So we do think they're cute. We let them play with their toys.
That could be the real deal. That's the introduction of light.
But I want to ask you, Talise, now. All right, so you are give birth at home person, right? And it's then what's the next thing? Okay, so you give birth now. What who do you report to? How do you get the paperwork? You know what I'm saying? There has to be something in there. What does that look like? Or is there something in there? Or is it they come to you and say, well, we know that you gave birth at home, so he goes to Like what does that look like? Because I've heard that it's, it's difficult just if you're trying to give birth at home, and then you actually like do it when you get through the fear and that everything is okay with your health, and you actually do this, and it's like, well, how do I get a birth certificate for my child, and do I need this, and then what does that look like?
I'm going to answer that, but I wanted to make one point. I wanted to say that a lot of times women don't know what's going to happen in birth because they don't know themselves. So even before you ever get pregnant, they're not in tune with their self at all. They don't know when their cycle is coming. They don't know when they might be on the verge of getting sick. They don't know if somebody has a bad energy around them. They don't know their self before they even get pregnant. So by the time you're pregnant, you're sitting there going, well, I don't know what's going to happen. Even if you're not educated on literally what's happening as the baby coming out, they don't know how to be in tune. And that's what happened to me with the twins, because my rushes, people say contractions, but they weren't on a consistent timetable. But I could feel that they were progressing. So I just wanted to make that point that people, women and men, have to start listening to yourself and listening, and just, to stop always being inundated with outside noise and information, but just try to listen to yourself. But
there's too much distractions. And the thing is this, I don't want to get, I know people have their own belief and stuff like that, but I can't help but to think the way that I was raised. And it's like, what causes all the confusion? What is causing all the lies? What is doing all the distractions so you don't stay on your purpose? You don't know about yourself, and the truth seems cloudy. I'm not going to tell you. You can figure that out for yourself.
But yeah, so for myself, my husband and I, some people would say we're radical or whatever, but we take charge of our own selves. And so we don't need to report to anyone that we're having a home birth, number one. Number two, we don't deal with hospitals or doctors, period, because we don't need to, because we're in tune with ourselves, and we know, okay, somebody starts sniffling, oh, what you been eating, or what's going on, let's go ahead and nip that in the bud. We listen to ourselves. So we eat healthy, I'm healthy. So it was, I didn't need to go to the doctor. I don't trust doctors, that's me. A white coat for me doesn't mean, oh, you're God, and anything that you say goes, no matter how I'm feeling. So no one knew that I was having a home birth in the first place. Then afterwards, I don't go to the doctor or take my baby to the doctor. We did agree to get birth certificates for everyone, and it's different for each state. So in Atlanta, you simply go to the vital records office, you get a packet that says you had a home birth, fill it out, they send it off, send it back, you got the birth certificate, and it's done. So no one calls and comes to your house or any of that. It's really simple in Atlanta. So if you live in somewhere and maybe it's complex, maybe you want to go to Atlanta to have your baby so you can
go to Talise.
Yeah, not have to deal with all of that. But yeah, it was really simple for us.
All right, so it's 11:11 on the nose. Woo, woo, woo. So we have just a little bit more time left. Okay. So if, I always like to say, if there's anything that you needed to impart to women, fathers, families, birthing people, what would that be? And then we need you to tell us any cool things you got going on. We know the book, but again, we have some more book time, and anything else you have popping, and we'll share your social media, but anything that that weighs on your heart that you think is vitally important around home birth, because so much is shifting. We hear all the time, I didn't know I was allowed, and you were over here, listen, this is my right. This is my right as a mother.
She didn't do that. She was like, ain't nobody better tell me. She didn't even say this is my right. She was like,
this is my constitutional right. Because straight up, I have the right to treat my family, myself and my family, as I see fit, and not governed by anybody. Okay. And again, she's not asking permission. I'm having my kids at home and I can't be swayed. And that's hard because, again, that conditioning, those images, this is what you do. This is normal.
Right.
But when in fact, it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that's what we've been conditioned to believe.
Mhm.
And so now we're having this uprising of women saying, you know what, enough is enough. It's not safe there. So why should we continue to go to an unsafe place? You know, we can look up the facts. Third leading cause of death in America is medical error. Okay, we are in a developed country. Okay, and yet we see underdeveloped countries, third world countries, where listen, you're having your baby and it's live or die. We got the basics up in here, and then some places don't have anything.
Exactly.
So what do you do? And what I understand, birth is designed that if you are alone, you will know what to do every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also just interested to hear how different, you know, like if you could nutshell, every birth was different. And people just like, oh, you had babies, you know what's up.
Okay, so I'm gonna do each birth nutshell and then say the thing for everybody and then talk about what's coming. Okay.
Hey, we gotta agenda it. We didn't agenda before. We had a
Right.
conversation in the green room instead.
I gotta list everything so I don't forget. Okay, so for the first birth, I like to say I halfway prepared for it, so I halfway had the birth I wanted. I was real cocky. I was like, you know, I'm gonna have a home birth. I didn't know you really needed to do work to achieve a nice home birth. So I halfway exercised. I halfway said some affirmations here or there, and that birth was a lot. It was painful. I was hooping and hollering and cussing. It was a mess. So then after that birth was, but she came out and everything was fine. But that was a lot. So then and I had a midwife and doula for that first birth. So with birth number 2, I had a midwife and doula, and my midwife helped me heal from the first birth, which wasn't necessarily traumatic, but it really messed with my mental because I was disappointed in myself. I thought I was supposed to have something and it didn't go that way. So it was really like messing with my psyche, like, and she's like, no, let's heal from that, which I do offer as a class and session on my website, helping women heal from traumatic past births. Okay, so moving on. So then that was my son. And this time I did a little better. I did more exercise. I did affirmations a little better. And his was quicker and it wasn't as painful. And in fact, the doula was like a pregnancy massage therapist. So like she came in and squeezed my back, and then and the first one was a water birth, sorry. And so with my son, they were filling up the pool, but by the time after she finished squeezing my back, I was like, okay, no, stop, because he's coming. And then I end up getting on the floor and I'm watching them fill the tub, and I was like, dang, I felt so bad because I knew I wasn't gonna make it in there. And so then he came out shortly after that. So that was him. So then next was the twins that I didn't know that I was pregnant with twins. And so this time I just had a doula. I'm like, midwives are, for what I'm getting for the doula, and I've had 2 births, I'm like, I think we could just try just a doula and see how that goes. And she had already had a lot of children. She had some home births, and she was an EMT. So she was very well rounded. So I was like, okay, we'll just go with her. And she luckily was coming to my house, and it just became like, and like I tell people, when you get a doula, they should become like a girlfriend of yours. They should be so close and tight. It's like they should become like a friend.
I always say we're speed dating.
Right. That's excellent way to put that. Yes. So with this one, I didn't know I was having twins, but the twins and my son were very close. Like he wasn't even 1 yet. So I wasn't super much bigger. I wasn't much bigger, but I was having a lot of back pain. And so she was helping me with exercises and stuff like that. But it still was like, why is my back hurting all the time? But anyway, it was because I was having twins. But this time I was diligent. I was exercising. I was doing yoga every day. I was drawing about the birth. I was doing hypnobirthing. I was visualizing every day. I mean, I was on top of it. which came through when I was having number 3, the first twin. So I was in the birth pool, and I was breathing down. And I like to tell women what I like doing is low tones. Some women do high tones, but I've found from the 3 births I'd had so far that high, it just keeps my energy up. But when I'm going like, it brings,
you stay up in your chest with the high tones.
Yeah.
That guttural, that's straight from the womb, primal.
Yeah. So yeah, I tell women like
about energy too. You use more energy from up here.
Right. And so I can still remember now when I was in the labor process, I was like, wow, like my mind is really in charge here. Like I'm mind over matter in this situation. And I had also, something else I would tell women is to change your language. So a lot of times we say contractions, which makes you think of, tightening versus waves. If you're thinking of ocean waves going in and out, it's a completely different energy. If you just even say that just when you're not even pregnant, just thinking about it. So I was thinking,
but if women meditate with water, if they watch water, they come in sets, right? Small, big. And that's the one that knocks you over. Same with contraction. That's that contraction doing work. The other ones are pre-prep. Okay, we're not going to let everything close down. Just zzz, and then we go. And so I love that you talk about that.
Yes, it's important. And even like with pain. In fact, the girl who just had the baby, the doctor kept asking her, or the nurse, how much pain are you having? How much pain? And it's like, if you keep talking about pain, you're going to think about pain, you're going to feel pain, you're going to attract more pain. So I like to say pressure. It just feels like pressure. And with the third child, the first twin, that's what I was feeling. That was what I was experiencing. I was not in pain at all. So by the time she was ready to come out, I guess my sounds had increased. And so the doula, at this point, it was just me and my husband in the room. And so the doula came back in and she was like, okay, she could tell the baby was about to come out. But as I had leaned up and back, she said, wait. She said, I can see it. She said, I can see the booty. She was like, so just wait. She was like, we're still going to breathe it out, but you got to like really calm down. We're going to breathe real slowly. And so I did. And then she came out. She was fine. So I'm wrapping her up. I've nursed her. She's on the bed. She sleep. But my placenta still hadn't come out yet. And so I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? She's like, just push. And she later tells me, like, I felt like it was another baby in there because it was just taking too long for this placenta to come out. So I'm pushing. And then an hour later, my husband finally comes back and he's like, what is going on? Like, what's going on? And she's like, come over here for a second and just grab her by arms and just help her squat. As soon as I went down, out came 2 placentas and some chicken legs and a little baby.
She said some chicken legs. So first baby, 2 placentas, second baby.
No,
wow.
Yeah, with the first baby, it was no placentas at all. It was just her. So yeah, when the second baby came out, it was 2 little placentas and a little baby. And that was the shock of my life.
But it was girl baby, placentas, boy baby.
No, it was they're 2 girls and they're fraternal twins.
Okay. But the placentas were between them is what I'm getting at.
Say that again.
So girl baby, placentas, girl babies.
Yeah,
girl baby.
Yeah.
That's how they exited you. So that whole placenta thing, people, like there's a connection in there. So how does that happen? Are do both placentas stay in? And so that's like a whole conversation in and of itself.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what to expect with twins, and since you had no expectations, it was like, okay, cool. Okay, this is how it goes. So I'm trying to, baby, placentas, baby. I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Because they're fraternal twins, it was 2 separate placentas, and they were like little tiny placentas. Oh God, oh my goodness. Oh goodness. So those were the twins. And then the next birth, I couldn't find, I was like, okay, well, let's get a midwife again. We had a doula. Let's see. There was someone who I wanted to be my midwife, but her daughter was like due around the time I was. And I was like, dang. So then I started interviewing different midwives and doulas, and I didn't connect with any of them. And so my husband and I are super overachievers. And so I was like, what if we did like an unassisted? He was like, well, let's do it. Let's do it. We do all the stuff we can do. And so my friend who's the doula, I was like, can I call you? You know what I'm saying? If I need to, or whatever. She was like, sure. So this time was the first time my water ever broke. And so I was experiencing that all day. With every time I had to use the bathroom, I was like experiencing excruciating cramps. And I was just like, okay, I don't know about this one, but I was still breathing. I did good this time. I was still breathing, you know, through it. And then I could tell, because I listened to my body, I could tell, okay, we're getting close. Because after starting with the twins, I stopped timing my
losing that cushion makes a difference, huh?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I stopped timing because I could just tell, okay, I started getting hotter. I could tell, okay, now it's getting close. My husband filled the pool. I went and got in the pool. And this time I was super like in a mental space. So I could feel everything, but my children were all in the room. I'm talking to them. I'm laughing. I'm talking to him. And he's like, you're like, really? Like, you're really doing this? Like, you're laughing and stuff. And between the rushes, I would be talking to them. And then I would tell, I put my hands up and then kind of
like
go.
The rushes.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
So then I would just go back into the zone. And then when by the time my daughter was coming out, I gave like that loud woman roar, and all my children took off. And then my husband went after them to check on them. And then she came out, and I never before had I caught my own baby. So it's even making me a little nervous now. But I was like, oh snap. I looked at, I was like, okay, it's just you got to get her out. And so I was like, oh. So I got her out and I was like, wow. And my husband, like, it seemed very long, but he came like right back and he was, oh, wow. Like you got
like a Western movie with tumbleweeds. There's dust everywhere. There's nobody around. I can't whisper. Where is he?
Right.
You knew what to do, right? You knew what to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so then, she was fine. I rubbed her, and she, like, none of my babies was ever screaming and hollering, none of the 6 of them, because they could feel they were, in my opinion, in a safe environment. I like to equate home births to somebody waking you up with, slowly opening the blinds, somebody singing good morning, a little orchestra playing. That's home birth. Hospital birth is a loud band. Someone go, wake up, get up. Right. And so if you were to wake up to that, you would be pretty upset. And so, that's why I really think babies come out the hospital screaming. It's just a lot. But she didn't come out screaming or crying, or none of them even crying. They just come out real like
well, then I guess you wouldn't have rushes. You would have tremors.
So that was number 5. And then number 6, I feel like this time I prepared the most for my postpartum period. And I like to say proper postpartum period, because some people do it, but they halfway do it. And, I prepared a lot. So I made a lot of food to put in the freezer. I had a meal plan. So I had, people I called and said, okay, what day are you going to come after the baby comes? Like, how are you going to help? I put my pride in my pocket.
What
and
are you good at?
I put my pride away and said, yeah, I need help. So what day you going to come help? And this time I was baking bread. I was on the ball. And then I could just tell I was getting close. But I told my husband to go to sleep. The children would sleep, because I just like to try to let him get as much rest as possible, because I know he's going to be up for a long time after that. So when I finally got super close, I said, okay, you can start filling the pool up now. And I got in, it was just me and him. And I was, doing my breathing and my deep tones. And I was like, okay, lock eyes with me, because I just want to take this real slow and be, relaxed and calm and cool. He said, I got you. So we locked eyes. And, I slowly, this was the slowest I've ever breathed a baby out. Because usually by the end, I'm just like, whoo, let me just get out right now. Just move. But this time I was real calm, and I breathed her out while I was looking at him. and he came and picked her up. And Anaya, that's the last one's name. Her name came to me, which has never happened to me before. And I was like, because I heard women say, the name came to me. I'm like, our name comes to you. But her name came to me, and then he went out the room for something. He came back and he was like, Amon had come to him for her middle name. So yeah, that one was in the water. So yeah, those are the birth stories in a super nutshell.
That was fantastic. We're gonna clip that for a video. You want to hear birth in a nutshell?
Right.
That is awesome. I mean, I'm still like in awe. Like, wow. Even just to hear, I mean, I have so many more questions. And before, we let you go and we do like the exit and all your hashtags and all that. I want an autographed signed copy of your book.
Same.
So I don't know, I'm a Facebooker, so I don't know if I can reach you on Facebook, but drop your hashes and your tags and your plugs and your,
Yes. So my name of my book is Home is Where the Birth Is, the stories of my 6 home births and how you can do it too. And it's available on Amazon, and it's also the one it's 2 on Amazon. One that costs more has colored pictures, so it's not necessary to get that one. But then I also sell the book on my website, TaliseHomebirthQueen.com. And also on my website, I have classes, home birth classes, home birth consultations, postpartum classes. My husband also has classes for dads who are, wanting to home birth, because we found that a lot of times the woman may want a home birth, but her dude is like, I don't know about that. And of course, the man wants his woman to be safe, but because he is ignorant, he thinks hospital is best, and it's not. So my dad has classes for men. I am on Facebook, Talise Homebirth Queen, and I'm on Instagram, Talise the Homebirth Queen. And on both of those, I do my best to daily post pictures or information to inspire or inform women about home birthing, pregnancy, breastfeeding, and proper postpartum care. And I also have videos on my website and those pages. And yeah, those are all my handles. And
because you try to do your best, because you only have 6 kids to raise. Be happy with your man and clean your home. That's about it. You try. You try. May the 4th be with you. You're not doing the other thing.
Be with you, okay?
Yeah, so people can feel free to DM me on any of those or on my website. I try to got them all. Yeah, I try to respond like that day as soon as I see it, because sometimes women are pregnant, so it's like I don't want somebody to be like I had a woman who was like in labor, and she was like, I want to get your book. Oh God, I got stuck. Can y'all still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, well, yeah, she was in labor, and she was like, I want to get your book. So she bought my book that day, and we had been in labor for like a couple of days, and because, like I said, it's an easy read, she read through it, and she was like, it really helped her. And then she ended up having her baby in the tub. And so it was just like, I tried to really check my messages, because sometimes it might be somebody in dire need. So feel free to DM me.
And some people be last minute.
Thank you so much. An hour is never enough. You are going to have to come back again. And with that note, we'll see you next week, y'all. Be ready. Thank you for waking up and joining us to listen. There are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there. You could have been anywhere, and you've chosen to listen to ours.
Make sure to check out the Facebook group thread and our website for links to everything that was mentioned in this episode, as well as our courses, mentorship program, and upcoming summit. You know where to find us. Have a blessed day.